was just getting into
Welcome, everybody. I knew you were just getting into the music, right? We were just kind of jamming and having a good time. Welcome, everybody, to the Sober Life Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Jones. I want to thank you for joining me here today. And I know it's kind of an odd day. It's kind of an odd time, but you know what? We squeeze people in when we get a chance to sit with them. And whether you're watching this at home or watching this live or watching the repeat, please remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and certainly hit the reminder button so that when we have events, you'll be reminded of them. And if there's ever a chance that you want to be on a Sober Life podcast to talk about recovery, talk about living sober, talk about things to do with recovery, certainly reach out to us. And if you go to soberlifestudios.com, it'll take you to our page and you can reach out, or you can reach out directly to me at my Facebook page, Scott Jones. All right. That all being said, thanks for being here. We've got a great guy with us. Everybody, you know what? If you're in South Florida, you know who this guy is. His name is Bob. No.
I like Bob. Either way, it's Bob.
Yeah, Bob's good. No, this is Joe Bryan. And Joe, you and your family have been involved in addiction treatment for nearly 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly the Beachcomber, with their different facets of their different assets in IOP and PHP and different areas of recovery, has been around. They're in Fort Lauderdale. They're up in the Boynton Beach or Delray, that area. Mm-hmm. You know, so you got a lot going on there. But and also you're involved in a lot of other things. But let me ask you a question. Why?
Why?
I mean, Joe, you can do a lot of things, you know, and I know you're a great guy and everything, but what I know that your father started this business, but is that what got you into?
Well, originally,
what drives you personally to help people like this?
Originally, it was just a job, and transitioned from school, but it morphed into after my growth. Of course, everyone grows as they get older. They start internalizing thinking, and became a passion of mine. And I realized, which I've told you before, really didn't know my father until I worked with him. And the only way I would have met my father, or did meet my father, was through recovery and treatment. Because if he didn't have treatment, probably would have never got to work with him, or probably he would have died. Right. So I realized that families got put together, and with what we do. And I heard it from thousands of families over the 43-year history. So it was, the ego kind of likes people coming back and say, hey, thank you. But also because of my own family, I know what that's like, especially with my father, being able to work for him for so long. And, it wasn't perfect. I wasn't so perfect, but I got to know him. I learned a lot, changed me. I was, of course, a know-it-all young kid. Yeah. Never wrong, always right. And so much had changed through those years for the better. I can be wrong now, and that's fine with me. And I am wrong a lot. According to my wife, I'm wrong more than I'm right. So
we're going to go with that, Kathy. Yeah. We're just going to live with it. It's just the way it is.
I always remember the story of married the first my first marriage, and I missed a U-turn. Just a U-turn. And I said, well, I'll get the next one. And she said, what do you mean you're going to take the next one? She wanted me to be upset with myself and get angry. And I said, no, I missed it. I'll do the next one. There's always another U-turn, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
She couldn't understand that one, that you didn't get all upset when you screw up,
See, now I went the other direction. I said, there's always a next wife. So say whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
There you go. Right. I got to say, it's really nice being in your studio. I got guitars in front of me, which I don't know how to play. I got a camera here. And you feel like a big shot, we're waiting for Channel 12 to call me up and be on there next.
Yeah. Well, we've done a lot of work in here to try to make this a decent studio and do good things. Who's watching right now? Russell Levine is watching. He's saying nice art. He's checking out my art in the background. That is part of Sober Life art, and that is all. That is something I'm going to be bringing out to you guys. Russell's going to be part of Sober Life art with some of his photography. It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be pretty cool.
That
Russell, love you, brother. You're one of the good guys out there, too. You're one of the really good guys, right?
Yep. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I think this will be so Russell might be interested in. I want you to look at this. I was walking in the mall, and you know how they're always doing that thing. Can you tell the difference between this eye and this eye? Can you see the difference?
That side looks less.
Yes, there you go. They used some cream on me. And get this one, Russell. You may like this. It took all the wrinkles away with just one eye. So I have one eye with less wrinkles. And so I'm on the phone with my wife with the the camera phone saying, "Hey, can you see the difference with this eye and this eye with the camera phone?" She's going, "No, they look the same. No, this one's better." And anyway, this is the first time I ever got hooked by one of the they always spray the wrinkle cream got me. I'm thinking, well, I can put it up here,
Oh, just don't go for the facelift, brother. Don't go for the facelift.
I just had to tell you, I thought that was funny. And she got me, and then of course it's $229,000 for 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm thinking, man,
and you know what?
I can swing it.
You know what else would probably do the exact same thing?
What's that?
Preparation H. Preparation H actually tightens the skin around your eyes.
It does.
Yes.
Who was the first person who tried that one? I wonder.
Some asshole.
Good one.
No, but it really does work. It does work if you want.
Yeah, I believe you. I just would have a hard time saying, "Wow, what do you do for your skin?" Preparation H.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's not usually where I put it. But...
Can I wear my gloves?
Anyway, thanks for watching, Russell. Just having a lot of fun with you. So you do this business and you're around a lot of things. You mentioned something. There's a lot of good reward.
Yes.
And I think we get together with people. You know what? Let's cards on the table. South Florida got a really bad name for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of dirty players did a lot of wrong things, and there was a lot of good people that did wrong things because they weren't wrong back then. Now things have changed and people have to move. They have to move on. We've had to kind of rediscover the treatment industry, reinvent. You were in a place where you were so you stayed in your tradition so well that you never got involved in a lot of that stuff.
Well, first of all, you got to remember there was a lot of good programs first.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we had the influx of cash. And then you had a lot of other programs that joined in that were not so. And so people forget that we had a lot of good programs prior to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then I was just talking with a couple of people. If you listen to the conversation today, it's a totally different thing than it was 40 years ago. The conversation among people.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
Well, doesn't it have to be, Joe?
Well,
anything has to evolve, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but before, of course, it's hard to place it, but I would say the conversation was more on outcome and man, we did this, and now is the boss want to know how many people. It's almost like other businesses. How many people you got in this month? Where are you going to do? The numbers.
We've gone from patients to clients to now customers.
Right.
And it's like we forget
that
originally they were considered patients. Apparently that's not a term people use anymore.
Then it went to clients.
Yeah, then it went to clients.
There was a battle between patients and clients in the 80s.
And now they're really, you're right, the way they talk about it, it's like customers. And they're coming back 3 or 4 times. And it's like, that's good that we get customers back. And it's like, but it's not good. Doesn't that mean that something you're doing doesn't work?
Right.
I mean, where's the conversation to examine that?
Right.
And what I'm saying is times have changed. The drugs people are using have changed. Oh my.
Well, the patients are I don't know why, but they seem to be the vast majority of them a lot more difficult and knowledgeable. Well, in sense on how to manufacturing money on themselves and others,
part of that, part of that, goes along with a long time ago, going to addiction treatment would have been like an honor and a special thing.
Right.
Now it's become normalized where I'll trade one for the other and this one for that one. And it's not taken quite as seriously. It's like back when people used to fly on airplanes at the beginning. They all dressed up. Everybody with suit and tie and a dress, and we're going to go on an airplane. Oh my God. Now people show up in their freaking pajamas and
slippers, right?
They fly and they got the little pillows and they snore and they, I sleep in my pajamas too, and they get pissed because I sleep in the nude.
Yeah, we don't want that one on the plane.
No. But you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
things change, and
You can't stop changes.
you
Of
can't
course.
stop change.
Yeah.
But maybe the treatment centers have to step up. The owners, the employees, everybody has to step up and say, it's not the same world it was 20 years ago
Right.
or
It's
40
not.
years ago or
Mhm.
60 years ago.
Mhm.
This is a different world. How are we going to treat this world? And I don't think we're putting enough thought into that. My idea, I don't think there's enough creativity out there.
Mhm.
And it's just my idea. What do you think?
Well, I don't think it's the creativity. I think it's and again, it goes back to if long-term thinking. I don't think there's as much long-term thinking in any of our businesses anymore. It's is everyone talks about like flipping homes. It's flipping homes, fast money, fast track,
Right.
and it's in all of our business. If you can't be a millionaire within 5 years, you're a failure. And some of these people's minds, I mean, no one thought that 40 years ago.
No.
Making a living it was an important thing. Yeah.
If you got your bills paid
Yeah.
and you were above ground and above, if you were in the black,
Right.
Even that much in the black, just
Right.
a little bit, that's all you needed.
Yeah.
But now it's like everybody wants to get rich.
Right. I mean, addiction has not changed. It hasn't changed since the Romans. I mean, alcohol, but drugs is different, but they had drugs back then.
Mm-hmm.
And the recovery part of it is the same. It's one person up on another. That doesn't change. What changes is that you're putting population mixture that should never be mixed. I mean, I'll tell you, alcoholic drug addicts, you put in a person who's got some major psych problems, they're not happy with that. Because one is that person going to take up all the time of the counselors because just by necessity, and they're going to be left behind. And of course, their ego is not going to accept that. Most alcoholic drug addicts have a little bit of ego issues. And so you have a conflict, and it's not a good conflict. You want a conflict over recovery and not recovery, not who's sicker than of the group.
Well, one of the advantages you had at Beachcomber was a small population.
That's always
a great advantage where you've got the max is 18 to 20 people,
16, or maybe 17.
17.
Yeah.
And most of the time you were it was always between that 13 and 16, and it would go up or down. But that gives you plenty of time if somebody has a specific problem. You weren't just like part of the cattle. You weren't just moving from place to place. You're right. You got somebody in there in a treatment center with mental health issues, and then the person next to them has a heroin addiction, and the person next to them is a flat out alcoholic.
Right.
And then you're going to put them all in the exact same group and think that it's going to be effective. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No. And you can have dual, but it has to be addiction primary problem, not a dual problem. And one of the ideas we were talking about the numbers. I went up to 21 for a little while. It was not the same program. It didn't work. In my opinion, it didn't work.
You're building the whole thing was set up for that. It's cool. You pushed the envelope and said, you know what? We're losing quality of care. Let's get rid of it. Yeah. And I admire that. Other people wouldn't do that, obviously. Yeah. But I'm not knocking any treatment center. We're not bringing up anybody's name. We're not saying anything, but we're just saying the world is a different place now.
But you can have a larger treatment center, but have pods. I mean, my recommendation is do more of a pod system.
Right. And the pods, it can't just be like, they get their own special counseling.
No.
The groups have to be separated and things like that. Right. In a lot of cases. There could be some generalized groups.
Yeah, absolutely. Educational groups.
Groups. Yeah. Life skill groups.
Yeah.
There's another one I want to talk about. Are we spending enough time in treatment centers developing life skills for people once they leave? Well,
the problem with the life skills is if you're going to do that, not everyone needs life skills. I mean, I get patients 45 years old. I mean, they have the pretty, your life skills are important, but make sure it goes to the right population again. Here we go. We're talking now, you can mix the olders and youngers, which I think is a great idea. But if you're going to do life skills, don't tell a 50-year-old man how to iron his shirt or pull his clothes. He may not know how to do it, but he's not going to ever do it anyway, possibly, because he's yeah. But you're right about life skills with the 18, 29, whatever age. Even some 50-year-olds may need it, but you can pick them out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, it's got to be based. Everybody says every website you're going to go to, I promise you, every addiction treatment website you got to go to, you've got a statement in there that says individualized programs.
Right.
Everyone does.
Right. They do. Yeah.
What the F does that mean? I mean, because people are using that term. Are they really individualized programs?
Well, the chart is.
The-
Well, the chart, it says it is, right? Yeah. No, the individualized treatment is, it can be in a smaller atmosphere, but the larger, especially now, our paperwork is 3, 4, 5 times as much as it was back in, let's say, 1995. I mean, we could do 3, you only did 3 notes for probably one group. Now you're doing 16 notes. It's very difficult if you have a caseload or whatever. I hear some caseloads are heavy and do all the notes to be individualized. It really is. And that's part of insurance companies, DCF and all them thinking they're doing us a favor, but it's ridiculous to have a note on every patient, every group. I mean, you did groups.
Is it? I know.
Yeah.
I know. And it was like, you do the group, and I'd do the group, and it would be a 2-hour group or an hour and a half group. But then I would spend an hour and a half doing notes afterwards.
Right. And you have to think of, I mean,
yeah, you got to kind
Johnny's looking out the window. Then you say, what we just say? Johnny's contemplating his experiences out in the open. And everybody would have.
Johnny's sitting there contemplating his belly button. And I got no idea what the hell he's thinking about. Hillary's with us. This is my daughter, Hillary, from up in Connecticut. Hey, Hillary.
Hello, Hillary.
Glad you're there. Here's another one. Russell just brought this up.
What's that?
Evidence-based.
Oh yeah, evidence-based.
That's been bastardized, hasn't it?
Evidence-based.
It probably used to mean something. Now it doesn't mean shit.
I keep hearing it, and I'm always wondering, but I don't want to sound stupid, but I'm going to go, what do you mean by evidence-based? Yeah. You have a police chief coming in. I know Monk. Monk would figure it out.
Tony Shalhoub, Monk?
Yeah, I guess a lot of people may not know who Monk is. I have to be careful, right?
No. Well, you date ourselves. We're not talking about F Troop.
No, that's what
Cowies. I mean, nobody would know what that is.
Well, I've been watching reruns of Monk. That's why someone.
Oh, have you? Yeah. I've been watching Walker, Texas Ranger. It's like.
Now that guy can't. Well, I should say I don't think he acts. What is his acting skill?
It's Chuck Norris. He kicks things.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't have to act. He kicks things.
True. You got that one.
But evidence-based, that's another one. And that,
yeah.
You know what happens is, years ago, holistic had a real meaning, and then everybody became holistic.
Yep.
Then they have like things like evidence-based. Evidence-based treatment modalities. And then everybody says evidence-based.
Right.
Everybody says individualized programs.
Well, that's always been
the same
thing.
Yeah. How let me ask you straight out. How do you separate the bullshit from the truth? I mean, you're looking online, Joe.
Yeah.
Russell's out there. You can answer this. Yeah. And, how do you look at something and figure it out? I figure the internet's good to give you the address and the phone number. Beyond that, you better look beyond the internet because it's not telling you shit.
Right.
But, would you agree, or how do you figure those things out?
It is a good question. I always wanted to do that. I mean, we talked about that at Fat C. Was one of our objective was to help questions for families to ask. But there are some questions you can ask the treatment centers if you want to find out. In my opinion, you may disagree with some of the questions, like how many therapists does one have?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you find out full-time therapists and how many patients. That's important. Not as in a detox situation, it's different.
The client to therapist ratio is important.
Full-time.
If one therapist is handling 22 to 24 clients, which some places they do,
right.
Even if they're handling 18 clients, how much attention are they giving those clients?
Right.
So that's important. What kind of number should you be looking for? Like it's got to be like a 1 to between 5 and 10.
Well, what today's standard is, like I said, with the notes, and about that. 5 is a pretty heavy number if you're a residential. IOP is different. BHP is different. But you have to imagine you're doing 16 notes in every group.
I know.
Think about So you have, and then you do individuals. So you have 4 to 5 groups a day.
Right.
And that's if you're doing 16. If you're doing more patients, of course, you split among the therapists. It's overwhelming. Yeah.
And then there's just so much. So it's hard for the people that are looking for good treatment. Mm-hmm. It's hard for good treatment centers to stay afloat with all of the stuff they put on them.
Right.
And then they take away the things that made it easier for you to operate.
Right.
Things like having somebody who's got a bachelor's run a group.
Mm-hmm.
being overseen by the clinical director, but to run the group and share their experience. You're not allowed to do that anymore. You got to have a master's level now to run groups, or else insurance companies won't pay. So now you got to think the person that you used to be able to get for $16 an hour or $18 an hour, now you got to pay somebody $30 to $40 an hour. Now costs go up in treatment.
Well, yeah, I'm going to tell you that if you want to, it's long term. You want to stay in business. This is one of the things you need to do. Every client that calls you, you have to evaluate, is that client going to do well in my program? And I can tell you this, I have referred, I told people they probably shouldn't come in with whatever reasoning. They were very thankful for that. And then later on, I may have got patients from them. I know I have. But if you treat each individual that comes to your program and evaluates them, does he need, I've had people that need to be in residential, go to IOP, try that. Or go to you need more of a dual program. But if you do that, over time, people get to hear that you are the person to go to. You won't just take me in because I'm willing and I have insurance. But this is a long-term thinking. And if you got to think in long-term and you do that with everything, and owners need to think that way. If they want to be in business a long time, is every individual should be handled not just as a potential client, but as a potential person that needs help. First of all, on the owner, and then evaluate that patient. Now, so, sometimes you have to put them in detox and then they change. I used to send patients a detox and tell me if this patient's appropriate. They would tell me because you don't see things until
Joe, that's just good business. What you're talking
long
about.
term. Yes.
It's good business. If you're a car mechanic and somebody brings you a car that you can't fix,
right.
Accepting that job could hurt you.
That's right.
Not only is that client going to be upset with you, but whoever they talk to is now they're like, well, he took the car and he knew he couldn't fix it.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you've lost more business.
And that's what you need more of.
But if you say to them, I can't do that.
Right.
It's not right for this shop, but my buddy down the street's got a shop.
That's it.
Now all of a sudden you're building rapport, you're building your branding as the people who care.
And over time, it gets out from because people talk to people.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this, you taking that patient and he shouldn't be there. He gets pissed off. He AMAs. He goes home and tells the family, this was, it was boom, blah, blah, boom. Now that family's not going to say anything nice about your program. You just lost a possible referral.
No.
As opposed to the other way, you were right. The patient didn't belong there and he did better, or he didn't work out the other place, but that's not your fault. But you tried to help them, and they will remember you tried to help and not just take.
Not to mention, if I know somebody else is going to give them a better chance at recovery, I have a moral responsibility to put them where they can succeed.
That's the
beyond the business. You've got a moral responsibility.
Well, and I know that's on marketers. They have a dilemma. They have to get in a certain amount of clients a month. But in the long term, if they could go that long term and they build rapport with people, there's a chance that it will pay in the future. But they are under the gun too, and I do understand that'd be helpful if the owners understood that a little bit too. But
some do.
Yeah.
So there are some good people out there, and there's some not so good people, and then there's some people that are really dangerous.
Right.
Any business has that. Just hospitals and doctors' offices. They're not all good. There's ones that aren't that good. So it's the same thing, and we're not calling anybody out in particular.
No.
We're just talking about things in general.
I can tell you at the beach, our costs have gone up dramatically. We've had more nurses. We have to have people checking charts. The cost has gone up, I would say at least 100%, because you've had to add so much staff on. You didn't used to have someone checking charts for whether the verbiage is correct for an insurance company. Now you have to have LPNs just to give out medication. You never used to have to do that. You have to have every patient see a psychiatrist, instead of the ones that need to see it. I mean, so much has been added on that their cost has gone up, and now that puts a stress on them. So it's what is that? The mouse chasing the cat, or the cat chasing the mouse?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle now.
Yeah.
At the beginning, there was that sweet period. Remember that sweet period?
Oh yeah.
The sweet period in the 80s and 90s when beginning of the 90s and the end of the 80s when the insurance companies would say, okay, what does he need? And the
Right,
treatment
right.
center would say, this is what he needs.
Right.
And they'd say, okay, let's give it to him. And I'm not saying that some people took advantage of that,
Yeah.
but
That's always going to happen.
but it's just it's sad.
worked,
It's
yeah.
not that
No.
anymore. Now it's fighting for each day, fighting to save a life. And, you know, unfortunately, that means you're buried in paperwork, you're buried in staffing, you're buried in all this stuff just to try to help people. You know, I mean, Joe, there's got to be times you were laying in bed and saying, I don't want to fucking do this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think I'll go do what? What would you do? What would Joe do if he wasn't so deep into the treatment industry?
Well, right now, playing gin and dominoes and going to a few marketing meetings and chatting around. But right now, I mean, for me,
I'm just saying, what was the dream? Little Joe gets to choose a different path. What would it have been? What did you want to be?
I've always wanted to change minds. I wanted to educate too, like my mother did.
Oh.
I did, and it's the same thing as helping and changing minds. And like history was a thing for me. And but one problem with teaching is I know when I was there, it paid very little too.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotten better.
But
it's gotten better. But now they're like, you're not allowed to teach.
Right. Well, now it's the same thing we're dealing with.
It's like history. Okay, you're allowed to teach this history book, but you cannot teach the chapter.
We should not
chapter
get in that
3.
area.
We got to if you even mention chapter 3, you're going to get in
that's
trouble.
a rabbit hole we probably don't want to get involved because it is just as bad as what we're dealing with in treatment.
It is. Yeah. It is. The world's such a mess, man.
Well, you know who would really could fix a lot of this is insurance companies that they would want to. And one thing they could do, and if they were interested in, is really work on their outcome. And they are doing that, but go with the outcomes, and they could force everybody to up their game. Now, one problem with that is I know everyone's going to say, well, then nobody's going to want to take it someone who fails. Well, insurance companies could have that built in, you know, because outcomes you want a perfect outcome.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but you know.
Well, let's give you an example, like nursing schools. Okay, nursing schools. I'm going to digress real quickly, but they could lose their license if too many students fail. So on one hand, they won't let you take the test until you've passed their test, which is going to be harder than the nursing exam. Okay, which maybe that's the best way to do it. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the insurance company's doing it, there's a wonder if some of these tough cases people won't take because they're going to fail, and they will be pressed upon by the insurance company for failing. You know what I'm saying?
I got
but
you.
But insurance companies could bring the game up by demanding better results.
Well, and I love that, Joe, because, and I think we've talked about this for years. You and I have talked about, the industry has talked about developing outcome studies that are standardized. First of all, there's no standard to them.
No, there isn't.
You know, what's a success? Well, he doesn't smoke crack anymore. He's shooting up heroin and, you know, but he doesn't smoke crack. So that's a success.
I always joke. He doesn't live behind the 7-Eleven. Now he lives behind Houston's. Okay. You know, that's a step up.
He's moved a block up. He's the Jeffersons. I mean, there's no standard, and developing this standard, then with insurance companies looking at it. And if I'm Blue Cross Blue Shield or Aetna or Cigna or any one of these, and I'm looking at it and saying, okay, Bob Smith, he's back in the same place he was in 4 times. Okay, nah, that's not, I don't bring my car back to a mechanic if 4 times it doesn't work. Right. And it doesn't mean the treatment center's bad.
Right.
It simply means it's not right for that person.
But they are doing that a little bit now.
Are they doing that?
Yeah, they are. If you have to be careful with certain, let's say someone leaves right away and you bring them back in, you can only do that a certain amount of times before they kind of red flag that. And they're going to be wondering why you're doing that. Now, I'm not going to argue whether the patient needs to be back in or not. Maybe it needs IOP, but they're not going to sit there and let a patient go in and out numerous times and then just sit back and watch it. But they are expecting some outcomes, and they are expecting you to follow up, and they're putting it onus on you, which is you don't get paid for, is doing some outcomes, work, having people call patients, see how they're doing, trying to stop it if they're starting to relapse, get them into IOP before residential, or get them to an AA meeting before IOP. So, I mean, we were doing that. We were doing some of that, is trying to stop the slide if you can.
Yes.
And get them, let's say, do a meeting. That's going to fix it, or IOP. But the less treatment they were looking for. They don't want them back in residential. There
are cases where maybe they need to go back in, and I get that it happens, but not the way it's happening.
But
now.
if every case goes back to residential and not to an IOP or to a meeting, they're going to start saying something's not right here, and that's what they're doing now. So you are getting that, and you're probably going to see more of that. But here's the problem: then they're also doing these insurance plans now that don't cover. They're the marketplace, and they, So one hand they're doing the right thing, and the other hand they're not. They're going back to where they were and not covering. Or you can go into a place that has 100 patients.
I think most people don't even know what their insurance plan covers. I mean, it's been so convoluted, and they twist it up so much. Mm-hmm. It's like buying homeowners insurance. And then lightning strikes your house and say, "Oh no, you weren't covered for lightning."
Right, that's under your wind insurance.
You weren't covered for a flood. You're not covered for a hurricane. Right. Well, what are you covering me for?
Right.
Well, termites. Screw you. It's just it is a mess. You know what I would love to see, and I think that a lot of things can be solved if there was a regulatory panel set up. Of doctors.
No, you don't want that either.
Why not?
No, you don't want, because doctors are going to go medical on you. And I can tell you, when you have a JCO with research coming, they're a medical doctor, or they're going to focus on medical. You want someone in there.
No, when I say doctors, I mean clinical doctors as well.
Well,
psychologists. And
doesn't have to be a doctor. You can be a knowledgeable person, hopefully reputable, and hopefully
that's
even-handed.
True.
I mean,
that's true.
Yeah. You start they start looking for not the things that really get people well, but something that they're more interested in or their field. But you need people in there who knows how to get people help. Knows what gets them help. And that's what you need. But, and what you would want is them to help the programs. I've always said that, you want JCO is to come in here and say, this will help you. And they do some of that. I will say that, instead of we're going to close you down if you don't do this.
Yeah.
Where you're fearful every time they show up.
We can go all day with all the things that are broken. There's also a lot of good players out there. I mean, we appreciate everyone out there who does the right thing.
Treatment works.
Treatment works most of the time. I mean, nothing works all the time. Nothing does. I mean, if anybody tells you it works all the time, then they're selling you something. All right. Treatment does work in most cases. There are cases, unfortunately, where they need something more than treatment. They need, treatment that goes on in a different way and other things. But, we need to give people the best shot at recovery. And the best shot at recovery is for everybody to step up to the plate, work with integrity, pay attention to the people. You're right, Joe. Talk to them and find out, is this the person I can help, or is this the person the guy
long term? Stop thinking.
Think long term for you and for them. For you and for them.
Yes.
It's long term for your business, and it's long term for the client.
Right. Well, when you think long term, you think differently than short term.
Yeah, short term is I get them in here for a couple of weeks, get paid.
Right.
That's short term.
Short term is you come and take over a company, you fire everybody, get the profit up, and dump it real quick.
Yeah.
That's short term thinking. Long term thinking is build a structural house, get the right staff in there, do the right thing, and it will come to you. And you'll get benefits that you don't know you could have ever gotten from helping families and patients do well. I mean, there's not a better reward when they call you up and you get cards every Christmas or Hanukkah saying thank you.
Yeah.
There's nothing more rewarding.
I agree. I wanted to, before we go, we've got a little bit of time here. We also have an event coming up this year.
That's right.
The EAP conference. People get confused when we say EAP conference. Let's define what that is, Joe.
Okay. Well, I've always liked the EAP conference, but a lot of people always say, well, there's no EAPs there. And I say, well, okay, EAP is employees assistant person. And we usually get 3 or 4, but don't forget those 3 or 4, like, for example, I don't want to, generally they have 30,000, 40,000 lives under them, people,
Yeah.
that they manage.
Yeah.
So if you only have 3, well,
then you've just become contacted with 60,000
or more,
70,000, 80,000 people.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to, as long as they know you're around, you don't have to go over there and swallow them or jump on. But we're talking about the AP conference. But it's been around. It's the oldest conference in Florida. I don't know nationally.
There's some tradition here.
Yeah.
How far back does it go?
It goes back to 70s. Funny story is that was my first back in 1980. I think it was 81. My dad and I went to that conference. I'm walking in the room. He's walking in the room next to me. And this gentleman goes in the room over there and he goes, God, I know I'm getting old when my peers' children are in the business. And I go, that's happened to me 3 or 4 times. But and then of course my dad at the end of the conference says, okay, you're our marketer. Goodbye. And that was my introduction to the marketing. My God, I did get a degree in it afterwards, but he just threw me into the wolves and said, swim.
And you've been holding it at the same place for a long time.
Oh yes, it's Melbourne. We love that spot.
Melbourne,
Doubletree,
Doubletree. It's just a great place to stay.
Yeah.
Great place for a concert
on the ocean.
It's small and it's cozy as far as they got a nice big room, couple small meeting rooms. They got a beautiful little deck in the ocean, and we always have fun. That's important too.
My children went to that conference. The funny thing is, in the old days, all the children went to it, and they've all grown up, and some have come in the field, like my son did for a little while. But you think about it, a lot of the children, and we saw families grow up. It was more of a that because of the time, but more of a we were part of everybody else's family in a lot of ways because the same people came and we got to know them. It was a conference that was different than any other conference. The same people came because it was just for Florida. And it was interesting when you think about that. What conference do you get to watch the children? They come because it's on the beach and watch them grow up.
I know we watch people show up and grow up and we see a lot of neat
retire.
And,
a lot of them have retired. Yeah.
See, it's people like Bryan, and she shows up and her daughter now there's the granddaughter and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So this conference, it's in October. It's up in Melbourne.
Correct. It's 11th, 12th, and 13th, isn't it?
I believe that is correct.
11th, We're playing golf on the 11th.
Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday's a golf day. Wednesday night's a little banquet. Thursday and Friday, pretty much all day is the activities, the groups. There's trainings. There's all sorts of stuff that goes on there. Not to mention fellowship.
Karaoke sometimes breaks out,
Well, this year we're doing the full karaoke.
All right,
outside. We're doing the whole thing outside. I got the whole setup, cordless mics. We're doing it right this year.
Well, listen, guys, what we are, we do love the entertainment part, but there is a CEU's part. But we do have fun. That's the objective of a conference.
It's fun. It connects people. People that you haven't seen in a while, people you haven't met yet, and you meet them. And it turns out one of the things that the strongest treatment centers, the strongest programs have in common, one of the things they all have in common is they connect with others.
Yes.
They don't try to stand all by themselves. When you're connected with others, I mean, Joe, you were running the Beachcomber, that Beachcomber by yourself for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Did that mean you didn't talk to anybody else? You had partnerships with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
In one way or another, right?
Well, you need to. If you run a program, you have to have people that you have to. I would call people all the time and say, "What do you think on this? What's going on here?" You can't be by yourself, make decisions always by yourself. You need to bounce it off to other peers, and you should have a support group. Everyone has a support group, I hope. Whether it's you have a support group, it's AA, but as a business or marketing, you have a different support group. Than your AA group.
And part of that might have been Fat C in a certain way. And there's, but
Don Maines was part of that. We would, he's from the government side and a little bit of all. But I would always chat with him about things, various people. But yeah.
So keep it in your calendar, October. We believe it's 11th, 12th, 13th.
Yes.
Melbourne. I'll confirm that right now, just so that we're putting the right dates out there.
Doubletree Suites, Melbourne, Florida. It's Indian Atlantic. Been there since, like we said, 1970. We usually get around, I think last year we had 80, 90 people.
You nailed it, brother.
Yep.
11th, 12th, and 13th of October.
Scott will be there, and he brings his music.
Yeah, we DJ.
Yeah.
We DJ. We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of serious work too. The groups and the speakers that we get are brilliant. And there's, if you don't like one, you're going to like a different one. Just spending time with people too.
I think 13 CEUs. Is that about right, or 12?
I'm not positive, but you will get CEUs. I think it's at least 12, maybe 13 to 14, but I think you're going to get at least 12. If you need CEUs, this is a perfect opportunity to get those.
And it's $99.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, $99.
$99. Now, if you come and stay at the hotel, you pay for your room and stuff. If you stay at a different hotel, it's easy to get to. If it's worth the drive for a day, for $99 to come up and spend that kind of time and have that much fun with people? Are you kidding? And snacks, and there's always the snacks and the coffee going, right?
$99.99 with a little hat.
I could paint that car for $99.
Step right up here.
It's not about making money at this conference. It's not about the big bells and whistles. It's about people. And that's the coolest thing. I think the neatest thing was one time, it was 2 years ago, I think. We were at the conference, maybe 3. We were all outside for our tiki social, we call it. We have our little snacks, and we all sit out on there. And they were doing a launch at NASA.
Oh, yeah. We got lucky on that one. Beautiful.
It wasn't supposed to happen. It got delayed from the other night. And we're all outside, and somebody's like, they're launching. And we're like, I have music playing. And I think I put on the theme from Rocky or something.
It was wow. That's the second time.
And we were standing there smoking cigars, talking, drinking coffee, eating meatballs, and watching a rocket launch with the ocean right frickin' there.
Clear sky, too.
It was perfect.
I think it's probably because in October, the skies are usually clear.
Yeah. It was freaking perfect. And it was like a moment I shared with a bunch of guys that it's like, I won't forget that moment. It was really a cool thing. There's always these little moments. So check us out, the EAP conference. And if you're new to working in this industry, that's a place where you want to go and talk to people. Let's mention that. When you're a new person in this industry, maybe you're new in marketing, or maybe you're new working in treatment or something. Whether your company gets involved or not and goes to these things, this is a great opportunity for you yourself to go and find out what's going on and to meet really good people. I'm a big proponent of having mentors.
Yes.
And if you want to be successful, you go to these places to meet people like Joe, to meet people who have been around a while, like my friend Russell, we just talked about, that, hopefully he's still watching, who understands all these things. Get a mentor, get them to show you the ropes. Don't just count on your employee handbook.
Right.
Get some people that you admire and learn, and then you can learn how to be caring and successful at the same time.
Is there some other messages there or no?
No, that's it for now.
Oh, I thought someone else was up.
No, that's it for now. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to wrap up. Joe, we got to do this more often. I think we should make this a regular thing.
All right.
Because now you got a studio. Are you working out of your studio?
I have to put it back together. I had one. I could probably do the other eye the next time and see if that's.
Let's make it interesting. Your left ass cheek.
I don't know if it could become metrosexual. I hear it's a lot of work.
No, that's too much. All the creams and everything.
Yeah, it's too much work. I mean, my wife always. Probably not supposed to talk about my wife on.
No, you can talk.
Okay.
I mean,
she has to.
I don't have to go home to her. You do.
It takes her a little bit of time to get out the door. For me, I just have to put the shoes on. I'm ready.
Oh my God!
I'm glad I'm not a metrosexual because I hear it would be a battle over the mirror and who would win.
I got attacked. This happened to you in the mall, the cream thing, right?
Yeah.
I got attacked. I was in Vegas. I was at the Luxor.
Oh yeah,
in Vegas, and I walked by, and I'm walking. They didn't even say anything. Walked up and just right in my face. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You don't do that shit. You don't do that shit. We're in a casino. You don't know who I am."
They didn't have one of those poles with a little string at the end and grab you.
Now, luckily, I was there for a conference. I think Karen and I were teaching. So I'm like, okay, what is? They're like, oh, it's a face cream, and it's Bryan. It's special. And I spent 15 minutes talking to them. I was being nice.
That's you.
And then they're like, well, here, let me show you what we've got. And they bring out this freaking industrial sized container of this shit. All these different creams and different. You need all of these things, and I'll tell you the truth. Did it tighten up the face?
Yes, it did tighten up the face. I was wondering,
is it worth me spending $2,000?
Yeah,
no.
I'm gonna have to go like this, get my face to move a little bit.
I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, $2.99 Preparation H will do it.
What do you have stock in Preparation H?
I
think he has stock. What do you guys think?
It shrinks the skin. It does it. It does it. And if you want to feel better, don't use the one that you've already used for other reasons. Get a new one.
Is that one in all those boxes there? Preparation.
Yeah, that's right.
He gives a box of Preparation H to all of his guests. Only DJ.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's an asshole. So,
boy, okay.
It's just that easy. It's just that easy.
You just called his guest an asshole. I think I'm coming back. I like to be. It's like the little House of Horror. Remember? Yes, the guy who goes to the dentist shop and brings his own tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just get it out.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and if you're watching this later on, this is a little too much fun to have in the middle of an afternoon.
That's true.
On what day is it today? Tuesday.
Is it
Tuesday? Is today Tuesday?
It's Monday.
It's not Monday.
Not Monday. Oh, it's Tuesday. That's what happens when you.
Jesus.
I don't know when TJF happens anymore.
People are going to trust it. Yeah, I'm going to go to the conference when they tell me. They don't even know what freaking day it is. You know what? This is what happens when you work in the industry this long. Yeah. You start to lose your freaking mind. But we do care. We do care about people. I will tell you that all joking aside, when we're talking about treatment, there's a lot of great places. Just don't buy the advertising. Talk to them yourself. That's all I can tell you. Talk to them yourself. Ask questions. Tour the place if you can. If you can't tour the place, you know what, they got this really crazy thing. These freaking phones, and you can't go if you're in Pennsylvania. You're looking at a place in Florida. You're not going to go down there. You say, all right, well, put me on FaceTime and walk me around.
That's a good idea.
I mean, ask them, and they're like, oh, we don't do that. Well, you know what? What are you hiding? Because I know you'd never hide.
No, but that's a good idea. It's funny. I never even thought of that one. I like that idea. You just gave me something to think about.
There you go.
You learn something every day. Now, I'm sure everybody out there already thought of that, but I didn't think of that one.
And if they say I don't have a camera on my phone, hang up quick. Because you're talking to a place that opened that's still working on their 1972 plan.
But how do you know when they're doing the little camera thing, they're not showing, like, let's say, a very expensive program that's on there?
Yeah, they snuck next door. Yes. Holy shit, it looks like a Holiday Inn.
And here's our beach, and here's our pool, and look who else is here. The Beatles.
Here's our restaurant. Yeah, it looks like Denny's. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Joe, what do you got going on? We're getting ready for EAP. Anything else going on now?
FSC meeting. I've been attending some meetings with the mental health group. I don't know if you're familiar with. They're doing a lot of work.
Are they
lately.
Still trying to lock you up? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. They're very involved in trying to, and they seem to be a very strong group. It's a mental health association dealing with DCF and dealing with government. And I think they have some changes. Of course, I think they're mostly working for mental health, but they are doing addiction. But mainly just volunteer work and working with the nonprofits I have. I have 2 nonprofits. You have a couple, I understand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I could do more, but I don't want to. I go to shows like this and pop in and then go back and be nothing.
I imagine you'll always have your hand in something though.
Yeah.
Trying to help people.
Some guy wants me to go to Pennsylvania, look at a program. I don't know if I want to do that or not, but
yeah, I'll go and look at it. I'm not going to stay in Pennsylvania.
Well, I was born in Pennsylvania.
Where are you? Where?
Philly.
You're a Philly guy?
Yeah.
What part of Philly?
Springfield. I was only there a year or so, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you weren't like walking around South Street.
No, I came down to Florida pretty quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I heard you mention something about subs in Philly or made a certain way.
yeah. I went
How the hell
back.
would you know? You were
But I would go. Oh, my family, go there. And we
6
get
months old. Your parents are giving you subs. What the hell's wrong with you?
Grinders. Yeah, yeah. In 6 months, we were getting them.
Pat or Geno's for cheesesteaks? That's the big question.
Yes. That's
Either
where
one.
I learned. But Florida did mayonnaise on there. So we had that real quickly. Karen says, "What do you want?" So I said, "I'll take a sub with oil and vinegar." Hopefully, Captain's out here. I'm not supposed to have some, but
Oh shit!
Anyway, they put mayonnaise on. I told her no mayonnaise. So anyway, mayonnaise was a Florida thing, and oil and vinegar was a Philadelphia thing.
Nicole Young is with us. Nicole, thanks for joining. She watches a lot of the podcasts and stuff. She's a brilliant lady. I love her. I follow her on Facebook and stuff. She's saying, hello, gentlemen. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us. We just decided to do a pop-up show. I have my friend Joe in there. We were just talking about addiction and stuff. And then we got off on the subs. And
mayonnaise and not mayonnaise.
And,
yeah.
not
And
mayonnaise.
she had mayonnaise on it.
I put mayonnaise on everything now.
I like mayonnaise, but I learned on my subs you do oil and vinegar from that was a Philadelphia. I ended up loving that. I like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
But now I have to use avocado mayonnaise. My wife is recommending that. It's actually not bad.
You know what? I've been getting like guacamole, and I make avocado toast.
Okay, yeah.
And instead of getting a fresh
daughter loves
avocados,
that.
I'll get a nice fresh avocado or nice fresh guacamole, little rye bread, little avocado, sprinkle of bacon on top. Boom, it's really good. And then the other day I was making a burger, and I saw the avocado and I saw the mayonnaise, and I said, let me put the guacamole on the burger instead. Whole new level.
Well, avocados are loaded with calories, and
I thought avocados were good for you.
Well, they have a lot of calories. Don't they have a lot of cholesterol or something in them? I mean, you ought to check that out. I was surprised how much I have, and now maybe it's a good cholesterol and it's a good.
I don't know. I just heard green foods were good.
Okay,
so that's why I drank 7 Samrock shakes last night.
You like algae too?
I love seaweed.
Okay, algae,
I love
seaweed. All right.
Yeah.
Green worms.
Gummy worms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of green things I don't recommend you eat there.
No. What's the difference between broccoli and boogers?
Yeah.
Kids won't eat broccoli.
That mold starts turning a little bright green every once in a while.
God. Oh, all right. We're going to shut this down.
Yeah,
we've gone into another area. Yeah. But we will. You know what? Joe and I are going to come back. We're going to set him up, and that way he can be in his studio. I'll be in mine, and we're going to share some airtime. We're going to have some fun together.
That's right.
And sometimes we'll just goof around.
We'll see who can be the dominant MC. How's that? Well,
there you go. I'll be the one producing. I could shut you down in a heartbeat. One button, you're off the air, bastard.
I didn't think of that one. This is what's that button?
Here's the mayonnaise, you bastard.
the cough button.
Yeah, that's it. You're gone. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, for Joe, Bryan, Scott Jones, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know it was an impromptu show, but again, if you're watching, share with your friends and pay attention. Usually it's on Fridays when I'm doing the other Sober Life podcast, plus the other shows that I do throughout the week. So make sure you check us out. But for now, I really appreciate everybody being here. We will catch you next time right here on the Sober Life podcast.